up, you guys? Happy Friday! How are we? I don't know what's going on here. All right, you're in the picture now. All right, how you guys doing? Give us a hello, give us a hi when you jump on. So it's episode 80. Can you believe that? We said we are gonna go live for 30 days, and here we are, almost 3 times that. So, yeah. So we want to talk about today, you guys, the one key element that a lot of people are missing. Hi, Nate. That a lot of people are missing, and we're definitely feeling with the clients we've been working with today, and feeling ourselves as well. So we want to talk about the day, give you guys some tips on what it is, how to make sure that you're actually doing it, and it's the perfect time because it's Friday. So what are we talking about today, babe?
Rest and recovery. So I think it's super unsexy, right? Like it definitely, you're not selling t-shirts on this. You're not going to have a big slogan regarding it, but I think it's one of the most underutilized and understood, I guess, components of anything that we do. Especially, over the last 80 episodes, a lot of it is action. It's all those things because, yet again, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your vision for yourself is, all these things is you need action. But the conversations that we're having with a lot of folks as we're returning to normal life is, are you spinning your wheels and are you burning yourself out, right? And I think this is a topic that we can relate with 1,000%, right? And especially if you're an achiever, you're a high achiever, you're somebody that holds yourself to trying to aspire to high standards. It's always you're always pushing the go button, you're always pushing the pedals to the metal, and we don't really take this step to really look at what we're doing until we get to that point where we're breaking down, where before we understand that there's no fuel in the tank. We've been going.
Hitting burnout.
You're edgy. You're not motivated as much as you normally would, whatever it may be, and you're seeing these things. And when we're looking at things on a physical hierarchy, there's certain things, and then obviously when we're getting back into coaching people on the gym format is, we have a certain hierarchy that we look at certain things, and you just kind of like drew it up, just kind of give a basis. It's probably going to be backwards for you guys at home, but essentially, for most people, when we're looking at working with clients, for a lot of times what we do is like, oh, you have this problem, let's fix this as far as your problem goes, right? Like if we're say it's a movement, right? Like, my back hurts when I pick something up. Oh, let's fix the way you move, right? And it's like, okay, that may be a portion of it, but that's working on the skill aspect of that movement, right? It's not looking at the entire hierarchy of what's going on. So when we're looking at these things, it's can you get into the right position first and foremost? Do you have the right flexibility? Do you have the right mobility? Do you have an imbalance of something that's going on? Then on top of that is the work and recovery component of that. Then on top of that is what usually most people focus on is the skill aspect of like cleaning up what you're doing. And you can substitute all these things out in your life, right? It's not just attached to what you're doing on an exercise or a physical component of that. It's what are you doing on your mental, emotional? What are you doing spiritually? What are you doing to connect yourself? What are you doing to bring awareness around these certain things, right? And so we look at these on the same kind of hierarchy when we're approaching these things for yourself is where are you on your rest and recovery, right? Like it's the same thing we talked about on relationship standpoint is you can only pour out as much as your cup can hold, right? And so if you're pouring from an empty cup, you can't receive anything, and that's when we reach the burnout. That's when we're not receptive to the things. That's when we misinterpret what's going on. That's when all these things that we have going on in life start to really affect us, and that's where the vital component of really looking at not just being driven and action and all these kind of things, but also on the same standpoint, are you allowing yourself to actually rest? Are you allowing yourself to recover? Are you allowing yourself to, like Courtney talked about yesterday, of being grounded and connecting, so that way you can still understand your mission and your viewpoint of what you're trying to aspire towards?
Well, and I think it's really important too, you guys. Like obviously we know on a physical aspect, and we talk about this a lot with our athletes of, we have a lot of high achievers, go-getters, people that are pushing inside the gym, outside of the gym, and it's like, I always need to go more, right? And then there's the days where it's like, and I'm having this week right now, like it's been one of those weeks for me, and my hips kind of messed up. I got my toe stepped on, right? Like life is giving me all these signals of, hey, you should slow down. Hey, you should slow down. And eventually your body will make you listen, right? And so, but it's actually understanding that when you slow down, when you actually look at the stuff that's going on, that might be the piece you need to move forward, right? And so I feel like this week we've been talking to a lot of clients that are just, it's like we're a few weeks into life kind of being back on track. And literally what I've heard from more people is like, I'm just tired, right? It was like, we weren't leaving the house. We weren't doing all the things. And all of a sudden, like, kids' sports are ramping back up. We're getting back in the gym. We're going back into our offices. We're doing all those things. And we're not remembering that, we need to recover, right? And it's funny because sometimes I talk to people, I'm like, they're like, I'm just really tired. It's been a long week. And I'm like, well, are you sleeping, right? Like you would think logically we would all go, well, am I sleeping? And it's like, oh no, well, I did stay up a little bit later and I got up and, you know what I mean? Like you've got to look at that, but we need to look at sleep too, of like, when you're sleeping, are you actually resting, right? Like last night, our dog was up 4 times in the night, right? Brandon slept terribly. I wasn't in the room with her, so we slept okay. But like actually looking at like, what are your sleep patterns? How much sleep are you getting? What is the quality of your sleep, right? Like, do you struggle to sleep? Like we actually need to look at sleep as part of our recovery, but it's not the only thing, right? Like there's way more stuff that goes into recovery than just sleep, but you need to look at that. And if you're in that point where like, well, I'm just tired, right? You need to be able to listen to your body and go, okay, well, what do I need? Do I need time off from the gym? Do I just need to not go as hard today? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to get more sleep? Do I need to say no to the plans this weekend, even though I don't want to, right? And really being aware of being in your body and listening to your intuition of what you need right now, and then letting yourself do that, right? I think it's a little worse today in Colorado because it's dreary and it just makes you want to crawl in bed. Like our whole 5:15 class was like, okay, well, we're here, but I think it's the piling. And we've talked about that load versus capacity, right? It stacks, it stacks, it stacks. If you're not taking that step, and like Brandon said, recovering, resting, doing all of those things, you're going to try to keep pushing and eventually you're going to break down and you're going to crash, right? So recovery and rest need to be something that you do proactively, not once you get hurt, right? Not once you hit the wall, not once you're so crabby that you're biting everyone's head off, right? It needs to happen before that, and it needs to be a really conscious part of what you do so that you're actually taking care of yourself and downshifting. Like when we talk about our shift program, you have to downshift first. We downshift every single morning, right? It's meditate, stretch, breathe, all of that stuff, so that we can then take inspired action, right? But so many people are like, well, I'm just gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep pushing, and that push doesn't work, right? Everything you push against, what's it do? It resists you. So you gotta slow down, look at what's going on.
Persists.
Right? Yeah. What else?
Well, and on kind of jump on the, I think we talked a little bit about sleep in one of our episodes of just the vital importance of it, right? Like there's more and more research that's coming out, more and more people that we hold in high regard that are coming out and actually saying that sleep is actually more vital than exercise and nutrition. Right? Like it actually is that much more important than anything else, right? It's kind of like the analogy I always like to use on there. It's kind of like having a race car. You can have the best engine in the world, but if you don't have a battery to power that car, like you're not going anywhere, right? Like you can do all this stuff as far as the chassis, the seat, the brakes, all these kind of things. But if you can't literally turn over the engine because you don't have the battery that turns it on, you're not going anywhere, right? And like our bodies function in the same regard, right? They're very complex organisms, complex machines, but as simplistic as that is, it reacts the same way, right? And it's the same thing when, like Courtney said, it's bringing awareness back around these things, right? Like the things we've talked about with a lot of the clients that we work with inside the gym is being honest with yourself, right? Like there are those days of like, you know what? You didn't go to bed right now. You know what? We'll do the best we can for today, but it is being honest. You know what? I didn't do this. I didn't get as much rest. It was restful sleep last night, or it was restless sleep last night. I didn't really, I've been feeling kind of just out of my mix for the day, whatever it may be. Be honest and be realistic with yourself, and not coming from a place of like, well, I don't give a damn. I got to do this for today. And is it going to serve you in the long run? Not to mention for us being basically locked down for 3 months, what habits have you created over that 3-month time frame, right? Like, has your sleep pattern been thrown off? I know there for a while, I was going to bed later than I normally would. Even though I'm a night owl by trade, like I typically tend to go to bed about 10:30. There for a while, I was getting into almost 11:30 at night because I wasn't having to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go coach like we had been, right? So it's looking at that of like, okay, what should I do? Kind of look at at things from a bigger, broader perspective, like, oh, you know what? I am feeling a little more burnt out. I am feeling a little more lethargic. I am feeling a little more snappy and going on these things because you know what? The world is opening back up and I'm like motivated or whatever to like supercharge at these things. But perhaps maybe taking a step back will allow you to go 4 steps forward next week.
Well, and you have to understand too that it stacks, right? Like we stayed up too late on, I think it was Wednesday night. Like I go to bed at 8:30, or I like to. I somehow stayed up till like 10:30. That was a terrible idea for me, right? Like I didn't have to get up till 5:30, but it was still, it was too late, and I'm feeling it 2 days later, right? So even if you're going to bed a half an hour later every day, or getting up a half an hour earlier, or just not getting the rest, like it adds up and it stacks. So I think the biggest thing with rest and recovery is like give yourself grace and understand that not doing is as important sometimes or more important than doing more, right? Like we always used to be like, well, I'm just going to push through. I'm going to do all the things no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And then like you just get to burn out faster, right? So I think it's really being able to honor and accept that rest and recovery are super, super important, and that like you can't just keep pushing more and expect your body to recover, to get better, to get stronger, and all of that stuff to happen. So actually going, okay, what do I need right now? Can you be in your body? Can you listen to your body? Can you look at your energy? And can you go, okay, you know, I mean, some days you have to push through, you got to get work done, whatever, but like being aware of what you actually need and giving yourself that space, right? Taking an Epsom salt bath, listening to a meditation when you get up or before you go to bed, and actually like getting that rest and getting that sleep and having that time to just decompress, because that is like one of the most important things in what you're doing in your life. Because if you're missing those pieces, you're missing this crucial aspect of, like Brandon said, recharging your battery. And then you end up, you know, living on caffeine, running on adrenaline, all of that stuff, which eventually will just lead you into complete burnout and overwhelm. So catch yourself before you get to that point and do it as a proactive practice.
Well, and the conversation we typically have with a lot of our athletes that aspire to different things is, you know, your training is only as good as your recovery, right? Like, I think that's the part that gets missed in a lot of just all these things. And yet again, if you're not an athlete or don't consider yourself an athlete or whatever, just change out that for your work, for the things you're aspiring to do, right? You're only as good as your recovery in that, right? So you can have the best laid plan out, you can do all these kind of things, but if you're only able to elicit so much effort, so much motivation, so much drive toward those things because you only have so much juice in the tank, it's not going to go very well. And I think that's the part that doesn't get talked a lot about, because this conversation isn't sexy, right? Like, it's really easy to like get the rah going of like, let's go do this thing, let's go pump these things out, let's go run them out, let's go all these things, let's really dive in and go and find our goals, do all these kind of things. But instead of, you know, it's really not the easiest topic to get people on board of like, slow down. It's okay not to go fast. It's okay to like let yourself, it's okay to downshift, right? Like, that's the part that honestly initially for people is probably the hardest thing to get them to grasp a hold of. Like, no, I've been told I need to go harder. I need to put myself through the wall. I need to do all these things. No, it's okay to slow down. It's okay in these times to be aware and bring about that sense for yourself. So that way you can charge the battery. So when it is your time to go, you can go full force.
Yeah. And I would say Brandon will be the first to say that he is not great at sleeping. Mm-hmm. And when he was training, you know, for trying to go to the CrossFit Games, you know, there was a lot where it was like he was quote unquote doing everything right, but he wouldn't go to bed. And I was like, you need to rest. Like, I'm a big fan of sleep. I get to bed, but I also get up, you know, and it's like, you know, we'd have these conversations. I'm like, you need to go to bed. You need to do X, Y, and Z so you can go to bed. He's like, oh, I know. And then lo and behold, he actually started going to bed earlier. And what happened?
Oh, I felt the benefits. And if you're fighting, there's plenty of research that backs all these things up. But if you're feeling not only lethargic, moody, all those kind of things, but if you're dealing with aches and pains, if you are trying to lose weight, right? Like, there's a lot of other things that we talk about that are surrounding these things. But if you're not sleeping, you're not going to see any sort of progress in that realm. Like, your body's a machine that needs to keep you alive first and foremost. So if it's underutilized and underslept and overstressed and all the other things that kind of stockpile on that, you're not going to see progress in that realm of things. I promise you, if you get better sleep, you're probably going to see a lot faster results if that's what your goal is, right? Like, it's not counting your macros. It's not working out 12 hours a day. It's not doing these things. Get more sleep, and I guarantee you will see pretty quick results in that realm.
Yeah. So I would say my challenge to everybody, or whatever, I hate the word challenge and I still use it all the time, but try to go to bed a half an hour earlier for the next 7 days and see how you feel, right? You'll prove it to yourself that, okay, this really does matter. Make it a priority. Let yourself rest, let yourself recover, and really just lean into that being a part of what makes you the healthiest, happiest version of you.
Well, and not only that, I know the one thing that we try to do on the weekends is try to stay as close to our norm. We don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning on the weekends, but we try to keep it as close as we can to our normal, because us as human beings, we function in a rhythm. Like everything we do is in a rhythm. Our body functions in a rhythm
Pattern.
Thank you.
Rhythm is a pattern.
And when we get thrown off that, right, like, oh, thank God it's Saturday, I get to sleep in. What happens Sunday? I know for me, usually if I sleep in Saturday, come Sunday, I feel more groggy. I don't feel as good. I don't do this. So when I throw off my rhythm and I'm kind of chopping all over the place on there, it makes life that much harder and my body doesn't know how to react. So what I would recommend on there doing is try not to let Saturday be like this massive throw it back to your teenage years and sleeping until like 11, whatever. If that's your case, my hat's off to you. I don't know.
Right. I don't know.
Happens.
I can't sleep past 6 if I try.
So like those kind of things is try to set yourself every single day. Try to keep your same format going, or at least as similar as you can. And yet again, I promise if you can do that, you'll probably feel a significant benefit, and you'll probably feel way different as far as what your benefits you're going to feel.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else?
Thanks.
All right, you guys. I'm going to go take a nap for reals. Like, I am just tired. So, hopefully you guys are having an amazing Friday. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Hope you guys... Yep, it's Sunday. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and go get some rest, get some sleep. If you need help with recovery and strategies around that, let us know. But otherwise, we'll see you back here on Monday.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, bye, you guys.